Whenever you're ready.
Oh my gosh.
You're gonna be fine.
Okay, let's do it. Tell me when.
Action.
Hello, my name is Rosemary Duenas. I'm the mother of Ernest Manuel Duenas Jr., 34 years old, was killed in Manteca by Officer John Moody of the Manteca Police Department. My son was not a perfect man, and he did have some... stop. Stop.
It's okay.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Start over.
Can I suggest one? Can I suggest one thing?
Yeah, go ahead. Help.
Don't worry about your son and imperfection.
Okay.
Just focus on
what happened.
what they did to him.
Okay.
And
I
what
got
he's-
lost. That's why I threw that
That's
in.
okay. You're all right. You're all right.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So don't have to throw the perfect man in there. Just
You don't have to. It's up to you if you want to, but you don't have to. You can focus on.
the story.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try it again. Hello, my name is Rosemary Duenas, and my son Ernest Duenas Jr. was killed on June 8th of 2011, just over a year ago. He was killed by Officer John Moody of the Manteca Police Department. He was murdered by John Moody of the Manteca Police Department. On June 8th, the media said that my son was pulled over by the police officer on a routine traffic stop gone bad. Well, of course, the media changed the story on the next video, and they said that the police officer stopped him because he was a parolee at large and he had a gun. Next, he had a knife. After that, they changed it to some kind of weapon. Every time the story changed with lies fed to them from the police department. In reality, the police officer, John Moody, was actually parked down the block waiting for them to pull up into that driveway. We have seen the police cam video, my husband and I, and actually on that video you see the police officer when he starts up his engine. As soon as they pull into the driveway, pulls up behind them, and within seconds he jumps out of the car and runs to the opposite side and tells my son, "Put your hands up, get out." He gets out, and as he's trying to get out, my son's leg gets entangled in the seatbelt. He has his hands on both the car and the door, and he's balancing himself. Police officers is approaching him. They tell media that my son was approaching the police officer, and the police officer was frightened for his life. In reality, once they shot him multiple times, I believe it was over 13 bullets that were shot. We still don't know how many hit him, but when looking at the video, my son was shot continuously on the body, and even as he was falling, they shot him in the head, the face, and as he was falling and he fell to the side, they shot him in the back. This officer, one officer, shot him so many times it looked like an assassination. My son then fell to the ground, and Officer Moody, instead of trying to administer any kind of help, he starts saying, "Where's the knife? Where's the knife?" And he starts patting my son's body, who is in pain at this point, pulling his shirt, ripping his shirt open, sticking his hands in his pants, in the back of his pants, saying, "I know he has a knife. Where's the knife? Where's the knife?" Frantically trying to find something that would prove that he had a reason to kill my son. There was no weapon ever found around my son. My son laid there dying, and this officer starts dragging him away from the car, and you can see his foot is caught on the seat belt. That same officer, John Moody, had to cut that seat belt in order to pull my son away from that car. You see him do this. Once he pulls him away, he still doesn't administer any help. My son is laying there groaning in pain. And all he could do is try to find a knife, frantically, continuously, through the whole time that you see this. You see other officers come around, not one of them tried to administer any help to my son. His wife ran out, tried to hold him and sit by his side. They dragged her away screaming and hollering. My son lied there dying. They treated him like an animal. They treated him like a dog. A dog gets more respect than that. There he gets no help until finally the paramedics get there. And at that point,
6 minutes went by.
6 minutes had gone by. we see them trying to revive him. And when Officer Moody was pulling him and dragging him around, you could hear my son in pain, taking his last breaths. Officer Moody was out on paid leave for maybe 3 days, and then now he still is back on the streets of Manteca. I think that a lot of times you have to remember that the media is not always right. They get their information from the police department. So the police is going to tell them what they want the public to hear. Next thing they try to do is they assassinate the person's character. Had nothing to do with what happened at that moment, but oh yeah, you're going to find everything you can find on that person to say he deserved to die. No one deserves to die like that. We have come together, the family, friends, many supporters have come together, joined us, and we now fight for my son. Justice for Ernest is what we have a website put up on. Our emblem is the piece, this here. That is our emblem, and that's what we put on our posters. Every week we go to the Manteca Police Department and we protest in front of the police department. My son was killed in June. In July, we went before the city council. We marched there. A group of at least 70 people went there before the city council, telling them that we wanted the DA to quickly resolve this. We wanted to see the police cam video. About several months after that, in August, we all had another rally and we gathered in a memorial for my son's birthday. That gathering again had at least 100 people that came out to support us, to listen to our stories, to share their stories. We have come together with other mothers and parents that have lost their loved ones due to police brutality, due to police killings. It has only been a little over a year, and in this year I have heard of so many more killings going on by police. It seems to be an epidemic. They have no regard for life. I feel that anytime there's a police involved, killing, even beating, anything involving a police officer that he uses his gun, I think they need to drug test the officer, because everyone should be drug tested. If you have an accident or something happens at work, they drug test you. They ain't any better. You don't know what they've been doing. They're not perfect. They're human beings like you and me and everyone else. They should be drug tested. They shouldn't go back on the streets until the DA has finished their investigation. Because how do we know what has happened? And how do we know what we're putting back out in the streets? This man may be disturbed. John Moody may be disturbed. I've looked up in the Manteca paper. He's been in at least 10 articles since 2009. His name. What does that tell me? That tells me that this officer likes fame. He likes to be the first one to respond. He wants to be the one that catches the bad guy. So I don't see any other officer in there that has come close to that many articles in the Manteca Bulletin. I think he was out to get my son that day. I think he knew exactly what he was going to do. He wanted to be the one that brought him in, but yet he took it further. He killed my son. Officer Becker, the police chief at that time, went on television a day or two later saying that he was backing up his officer was in fear for his life, and that he did no wrong. Did you know that Officer Becker at that time was just a part-time police chief? He was only being paid for 20 hours, I believe it was a week, because he was a retired police chief and they brought him back so the city could save money. So he wasn't even a full-time police chief at that time. He was a retired police chief. Several months after, he retired permanently and left the force. We have continuously fought, and we continuously fight now. And we go out to as many gatherings, functions as we can. And like I said, every Sunday we are at the Manteca Police Department between 1 and 3:30. Another thing that's happened throughout this year is in about November or so, we went again before the city council and we told them that my son Gabriel and his children had been at the police department posting signs. And the police officer, Avakian, and several others came out and they harassed my son. They gave him a ticket for posting these flyers about my son's case, and gave him a ticket for not having a front license plate because he had a Raiders license plate on it. Okay, how many people drive through town with that? How many people put posters up on poles for garage sales, missing animals? Do they get arrested or do they get ticketed? No. Then we told the city council what was happening. Several months after that, Avakian and Moody filed restraining order against my son saying that he was harassing them. So now they turned it around. My son can no longer protest in front of the Manteca Police Department. So now he protests several blocks away with a group, and my husband and I and several others go to the Manteca Police Department. They're not going to stop us. They're not going to let us we're not going to let them just sweep it under the rug. It's not going to happen. We're going to remind them that we're there. We're there every chance we get. We will remind them of what they did, what he did, and how they back him up. They are backing up this police officer because he's one of their own. And that's what they do. We now have a civil case against the police department, Becker, and John Moody. We have a court date now of January 22nd of 2014 for the civil case in Sacramento. So it will be a jury that will decide this, and it's another step closer to where we want to be. What we really want is a court date for Moody to go against criminal charges. That's what we want. We opened up the case of the other case because that's the only way you get the attention of people. You get the attention of people by hitting their pockets. If we want to start it up